Are you willing to accept Christ's invitation to know Him more intimately, love Him more intensely, and follow Him more closely, and then go out into the world and live His good news? If you say yes, then you could be the 13th apostle. Join Dan Duddy and Tom Caffrey, the odd couple of Catholic radio, as they ride the radio waves 2 by 2 to share the goodness, beauty, and truth of Jesus Christ and His church. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the 13th apostle.
Coexist. Different religions are like different languages that arrive at God. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the 13th Apostle, where we explore the good, beautiful, and true of the Catholic faith and the Catholic Church, and the always interesting and exciting. This is Tom Caffrey, co-hosting with Dan Duddy. At the other end of the line, as they say, right? Hey, Dan.
Hey, Tommy. How are you?
Okay. You okay?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Quite well, actually. Yeah. Okay. Coming around. Turning the corner. Looking for the next corner.
Turning the corner. All these turns of phrases, speaking of turning. Turns of phrases. I imagine that would not be, for those who are learning the English language, that they must have a section of idioms, of phrases that are native to the American English language, like turning the corner. And they'll say, hey, Dan, Coach, Mr. Duddy, what do you mean you're turning a corner? You're sitting still. How can you turn a corner?
Yeah.
You know, you have to explain that. So I'm always amazed at how people learn. I wish I knew more than English. Oh, well.
You don't have to speak any of another language?
I can speak very little Spanish.
Now, how about Kevin? Kevin travels the whole world and spends a lot of time in particular places.
He knew Mandarin very well. He may have known a little in preparation for his trip there. But I think he was in class 2 nights a week to learn Mandarin. And then, which is the most, when you say Chinese, that's really Mandarin, unless you get to, I forget whether it's Hunan province or something, but where it was Cantonese. And now he's in Peru, so he's conversationally fluent with Spanish, but he's going to classes a couple nights a week for that as well. So anyway, so we got different languages. From the opening quote, of course, was Pope Francis. The latest expression by him that has some people agitated. I know that I just did a random search online and including YouTube. Listened to some YouTubers, Catholic YouTubers, who are quote unquote trads or traditionalists, and they're not at all happy with what Pope Francis said. And I had seen an article by an opinion writer for the New York Times, David French, and he often writes on matters of faith. He's evangelical Protestant, but he is, and he engages with, I think there's 2 Catholics opinion writers for the Times. Ross Douthat is one, and I'm trying to remember the other one. But David Brooks, he writes on matters of faith as well, not as often as the other 2 guys. But anyway, the title of this opinion piece is "Pope Francis is Turning Certainty on Its Head," and dated September 19th, 2024. So, it was his take on that experience, and he just, the wide breadth of opinion pieces in papers like the Times and whatnot, other magazine, and I don't know whether to call them maybe a little more intellectual magazines, Not like the Mad magazine that you and I watched when we were kids, or read when we were kids, but a little higher and loftier language than that. But I remember more of the Mad magazine, by the way, than I do of some stuff.
Oh my gosh! I just pictured Alfred E. Newman's face when you said that. What is wrong with us?
Well, speaking of the New York Times, one of my clients for many years was the Wall Street Journal. I remember going down to the Washington bureau to do some work down there, and I got into the newsroom, and I see a photo, or it's an illustration of. It's like a morphing of Alfred E. Newman and George W. Bush. And so, I thought it was quite humorous.
I think I recall that. Yeah.
So
I hate this. I hate to say this. We're probably going to turn some listeners off, but there was a lot of genius in the humor in that magazine. There were those little sidebars and little tiny corners of regular artists. Yeah, it's pretty good.
They knew international politics to a certain extent when they Spy versus Spy.
Yeah,
that was Cold War.
That's right.
Cold War time. So
yeah,
but French and others like him aren't writing in Mad magazine, so we'll go past that. But this was the saying that a lot of criticism, backlash, and whatnot to Pope Francis as usual, and I've criticized his comments over the years. This one, Bishop Charles Chaput was upset, and he wrote, to suggest, even loosely, that Catholics walk a more or less similar path to God as other religions drains martyrdom of its meaning. Why give up your life for Christ when other paths may get us to the same God?
Yeah, I thought that was really powerful. While reading the article, you could feel that something like that was going to come through from a man like Bishop Emeritus Chaput. And, he nailed it. If we're going to compromise, water down what these martyrs, who were very, very, very close in the very beginning of Christianity, in the first century Christians, and then beyond. Yeah, what's up with that? But not to jump the gun too much, and I have a tendency to do so, but how to slow me down. I'm also touched by Pope Francis said, like different languages, in order to arrive at God, but God is God for all. Like different languages in order to arrive at God, but God is God for all. And if God is God for all, then we are all sons and daughters of God. Okay, so we can accept that we're all sons and daughters of God, right? In my spirituality, in my own personal theology, I believe that, and I pray hard for those that don't believe in the one true God.
Well, wait. How do you know they don't believe in the one true God?
Because they believe in their God, and their God is founded upon some human revelation or vision, not the God that Jesus Christ was, who actually came and walked on earth and said, I am God.
Well, so now you're jumping ahead to Jesus Christ.
Well, yeah, but
what about all the time before? What about all the centuries, millennia before Jesus Christ?
What about it?
Well, you're pinning your beliefs on Jesus Christ, but I'm saying, well, what about for the long time in human history when there was no Jesus Christ? Just because they put a name, they being believers or adherents to other faiths, whether it's a Hindu, quote unquote, and I say God with a lowercase g, for a couple of reasons. But whatever name we humans use, that doesn't mean that's what they're really, or who they're really praying to. Whatever they call it, they could call it Vishnu. I believe it's the god of war. But anyway, whatever name you put on it, there's only one God. If we believe there's only one God, well, then there's only one God. Whatever name there is for it.
There is only one God. Only one true God.
Whatever you made a reference to they're praying to their God, and I'm saying, well, their God is our God because there's only one God. They call it a different name, And they may have it. Well, they do. Some do. I got to say they. Some do, and some don't have a different understanding of God than we do.
Where's Jesus Christ in this scenario that you're talking about?
I'm talking. First of all, I'm talking about there is no Jesus Christ in terms of what we know who Jesus Christ is. I'm talking about the millennia, as I said, before Jesus Christ. All right. And so before that, but even after that, but the main thing is before that, there was no Jesus Christ. So how are they going to pray to Jesus Christ?
Right. So let's go to 2024, and we know Jesus Christ as we know the New Testament.
We do. We do. Yes.
Yes, we do. And Jesus tells us that He is the one true God through the mysteries of the Holy Spirit, God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. He is the way. He's the truth. He's the life.
One God.
One God. You
right.
Come to me, and I'll bring you to the Father, the one true God. We are the one true God.
Right, but what about those who don't know? What about those who don't know Jesus?
I don't know. I don't know. But what I do know is that Pope Francis says and indicated that other faiths can reach God as well. But he continued, my God is more important than your God.
No, but he said that. Wait, the way I took that when I saw it on video, that I took that as he said that in a joking way.
Okay, yeah. So there's another version of that, and I saw that too. Like, in other words, he's saying, "Oh, is my God more important than your God?" Right? Like, kind of like in almost a sarcasm to his very own self. But Tom, he's saying you're God.
Yeah, but I thought he was saying that sarcastically, though. I thought he was saying that sarcastically, that he was talking as if he were the critics of Pope Francis.
That's okay.
And the
Let's
critics
go from that angle.
And the critics of his audience at that time. And I think he was poking a little fun at them, at his critics.
Okay.
But
that's fine. But the sentence still has meaning. My God versus your God. When he's Pope Francis, why is he not taking that window of opportunity and saying there is one true God?
Oh, wait, didn't you just say that he said, my God is your God?
My God is more important than your God.
Yeah, okay. So I thought he was saying that sarcastically.
But even if he is saying it sarcastically, why is there a my and why is there a your?
Because he's saying it sarcastically. He's saying it as if he's the critics. He's speaking as the critics of him, of his audience, the people of different faiths, and saying, okay, we have this possession, this our God. It's our team is better than your team. That's the way I took it. Perhaps I'm wrong, but I watched it multiple times, and that's just what I got from it.
Okay, so perhaps you're wrong, and maybe you're not. That's another issue I want to go to. It's in the gray that consistently comes forward from Pope Francis that causes controversy. And it's in that gap, that controversy, in that crack, that division starts. And we know what division is. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't. Yeah, see, I'm kind of deferring a little bit to you for the sake of this discussion. When I watched it, I had no doubt that he was tongue-in-cheek saying that to his audience. So it wasn't like there was any gray area to me. I certainly believe he has spoken opaquely at times, but I didn't get that at all. I just thought he was joking around.
I got you. So that's pretty cool. So you have a different perspective on that. But what would Bishop Emeritus Chaput say to you, Archbishop, say to you right now? From what you're telling me, what would he say to you after his remark on martyrdom?
Well, we know it because we know what he would say. He's already said it. So he would disagree with me.
So he didn't see the sarcasm. He didn't see the tongue-in-cheek.
I presume not.
Mm.
And that doesn't mean
the
that
gray area, the gray thing.
But I don't think it's gray.
Well, it's got to be gray. It's absolutely gray. You and I are finding gray in it.
I'm not finding gray in it.
Oh, your side's black and white.
No. I'm telling you that when I heard it the multiple times, I did not take it as a gray area. I was certain. I heard it as he was joking around.
All right, and it could be just as simple as fundamental as that. that there's gray that comes from him, and maybe perhaps he's going to choose his angle, his words angle as, that's like false pretensions. But before he says something.
But don't you like what he said? Let's take it from your perspective. You must have liked what he said, that my God is more important than your God.
No, I'm telling you, if that's what he said and he meant it, there is no your God. I'm saying that's an opportunity to really stand tall for the Catholic Church and the truth of what we know and what we live, and say there is only one God.
Yeah, but he may have said it with I believe when he said my God, that was with a capital G. When he said your God, if he meant it the way you believe he meant it, and the way Bishop Chaput believe he meant it,
in his heart, it could have been a small G.
Well, not just his heart, his intent, the way he used that language, it was a small G. But I see. He clearly said it. He didn't use the plural. It was true. It was just God.
That's a good point. If there's a plural, then we have real issues. But that definitely keeps him in the ball game.
I never read.
Anyway.
I never read or heard a plural in anything in reading about this, listening about this. It was, and even in the opening, what I said, it's the different. They arrive at God. He didn't say gods. Different religions are like different languages that arrive at God. So he's saying there's only one God. And he's saying, is God a God for all? But still no plural.
Yep, and I'm reading that right now with having your perspective here, and it does shine light on it. Your perspective does shine light on it.
I think that.
But why do we have to be so gray?
See, that's the thing. I don't see it as gray. You do.
No, many people do.
Well, I'm saying, but
that's why there's an article about it in a major magazine.
And I think those who want to see gray, see gray.
What's that?
I think those who want to see gray,
I don't want to see gray. I don't want to see gray. I want to see a strong pillar. I want to hear proclamations. I want to hear him proclaiming. That's what I want to hear. I want unity. I don't want this division.
There's always division. There's been division from the beginning of time, human history.
Division is our greatest nemesis right now across the whole world, politically and religiously.
But when has it not been?
You're telling me that this is not the most severe case in our lifetime at age 68, the two of us being the same age?
Oh, I'm not saying in our lifetime. I'm just saying in the span of human history, when has there been a time when there's not been massive division? It's the human condition. There's always division. And people, I went to multiple conservative/traditionalist, and I'm using the word on purpose, traditionalist. That's different. Traditionalism, I believe, is a problem. But anyway, so the trads, whatever, none of them liked what Pope Francis said. And of course, you have to remember, they all make money out of controversy. And these online, especially the YouTubers, they think of Pope Francis the way the news media thinks of Donald Trump. They could say all they want, that they loathe him or this or that, but their circulation, their business did great after Trump became president. And actually, even while he was campaigning, all that controversy, they loved the money that they were raking in. And these YouTubers, these trads for Catholics, they love this. It's to get some more eyeballs and whatnot. So I
agree. I see that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're quote unquote conservative, and you and I have talked about the conservative liberal, and I don't like that, but that's the way it is. You're not going to like this sort of thing. And if you're a liberal Catholic, quote unquote liberal Catholic, you're going to love this thing. Yeah, let's put that bumper sticker coexist on our cars. I can't help but go back to we're all children of God.
Right. But let's go back to our guest that we had maybe a couple of years ago, the president is his title of the Catholic League, Bill Donahue.
Speaking of somebody who's on the conservative side of the aisle, go ahead.
Okay, but still you can't argue with the fact of what he was saying was that pre-scandal, the church was the go-to pillar of the world. whenever things were going down in the world, we always wanted to hear what was coming out of the Vatican, right?
Well, no, we didn't always. We didn't always.
Not always. But when
you're thinking very provincially right now, because you think, okay, we're in the age of the internet, and billions can find out a minute after Pope Francis or some world leader says something, 1 billion or more people know about it. When St. Peter Damian, I believe he was the 5th century, but I don't remember. I'd have to double check. Anyway, many centuries ago, he was called in by the Pope, and you and I have talked about him on air, when he was called in to clean up the church because the filth in the monasteries was in Europe was out of control. And so, and sexual immorality especially. It's sex and money. Those, speaking of pillars, those are 2 pillars of human history. So I think you have, the way you just said that, I think you had this, I don't know, this image of Catholicism where it was, prior to the sex scandals in the late 60s. And I mean, going from there, that it was the golden age. I remember Father, what's his name? He's on Benedict Rochelle. He referred to the golden age of American Catholicism. But a lot of that was...
you're talking about Father Andrew?
No, Father Rochelle.
And you referred to Father Rochelle. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. But I just think I don't know that there was ever a golden era. This is human beings are who they are and who they've always been. And so to say, okay, well, these people who they live, this term, which was controversial, and I've mentioned it before, by a Jesuit who's huge prior to and during Vatican II, Father Karl Rahner. He coined the term anonymous Christian. And, it's those who live as if they're living the gospel, even though they've never heard of the gospel, they've never heard of Christ, but they live that way. And one of this is also in Vatican. This is also in its catechism, but the catechism is basing it on Vatican II documents. Those who, by grace, live like Christ. And we can't, I've said this before many times, we can't let the church, the sacraments, dogma, doctrine, anything limit God in what he can do.
All right, so I'm gonna piggyback on that, and I'm gonna climb with you on that, because I think what French wrote, as he quoted John Paul II, totally marries up with that. JP2 said, "The various religions arose from the primordial human openness to God. It will be in the sincere practice of what is good in their own religious traditions and by following the dictates of their own conscience that the members of other religions respond positively to God's invitation and receive salvation in Jesus Christ, even while they do not recognize or acknowledge him as their Savior." That piggybacks off what you're just saying.
Thank you for saying that.
You're welcome. I don't mean to say you're welcome. It doesn't matter. But I still believe that right now you're talking about the past with current knowledge. But in the past, when you were 28, you had a different feeling about the strength of the pillar of the Catholic Church. Go back to that present. Am I right or wrong? Or are you
what do you mean go back to that present?
Go back to who you were back at that time. Was there a time in your life where you felt the Catholic Church was much more of a pillar, recognized, and there was a great curiosity amongst the world
before the sex scandals? But the scandals were going on. We just didn't know about it. It
doesn't matter. I'm just saying, did you perceive the Catholic Church in a much stronger way back then?
I did, but I did in ignorance.
Well, okay.
No, it's important. No, the truth is important.
But it was an innocent ignorance.
So it's okay, whether innocent or not.
Okay.
It wasn't based on truth.
Yeah, but you went and got your theology.
No, wait.
Incredible love for
no.
You have an incredible love for the church.
No,
you have immense curiosity.
I did not. The fact that I didn't know about this stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that it wasn't happening. So how I felt about it is, it was a feeling or whatever on a lie.
Let's talk about that for a minute. We're running out of time, but
We are.
why is it that we felt that way? I really think it was generational. I think my grandmother and my great-grandparents were just so devoutly Catholic that we never even allowed ourselves to think anything less.
Well,
I think we were just,
You gotta. It depends on how badly truth matters. And I don't mean that as a slur. I mean, but to many people just want to accept the way it is. Don't tell me anything else. This is what I want to know.
Yeah.
I'm not that way.
Yep.
And
no, you're not.
The truth is the truth. And we shouldn't be afraid of the truth. And many people are afraid of the truth.
I think that's what we acquire over age is the objective truth. And we get rid of our subjective truth. And humility is a factor in that. And that's another great part to the story.
When have you made an appointment to do that? Is that on your calendar?
I'm letting other people go first. People that need it more than me.
Ooh, speaking of humility, where is it? Where is that virtue?
It was a joke.
Oh, it was a joke. No, I thought it was very opaque. It's a great. I thought it was very gray.
It was black and white.
Yeah,
I did it for you, black and white.
If you say so. Okay, yeah. Pope John Paul II, Benedict. Go ahead, conservatives. Argue with them.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. I'm glad French put that in the article. That was definitely a hammer hitting a nail. It was cool.
All right. Well, there's some other references in there that are important, not just John Paul II, but the conservatives. John Paul II is, he's their lowercase G-O-D. So, but we all report to the same God.
Yeah. Amen.
All right,
Amen.
Danny, what's coming up?
Stay tuned, folks, for The Angelus and Your Prayer Intentions with Peter and Jemmy.
WQPHradio.org. God bless you, Danny.
God bless you, Tommy, and God bless you all.
Thank you for listening to The 13th Apostle with Dan Duddy and Tom Caffrey. For more information on Dan, visit his website at www.danduddy.com or email dcduddy@gmail.com. Tom's website is faithpilgrims.com or email trcaffrey@faithpilgrims.com. How about you? Will you be the 13th Apostle?